by changing one's mindset, I think one can get a lot more out of running. Instead of looking at running for performance, running for miles, running for body shape, running for burning calories, looking at running as a pathway to transformation. How many of us look at running as that kind of tool, as a way to get into our innermost self? I ran competitively in high school, a little bit in college and thereafter, but it wasn't until I started making this movie in 2015 and went for a run with our Navajo character, Sean Martin, that I realized like I was missing something from running. Even though I'd studied with Sri Chinmoy, who recommended this type of running, it's like it just never sunk in.
So walk me through that. You went out for a run.
Yeah, so we're leaving his front doorstep, and first of all, he tells me like, we start running in the morning towards the east to greet the rising sun. And I was like, I've never started a run with that type of intention or that type of relationship with nature. Even when I run at the Grand Canyon, it's like, how fast can I get to the bottom and come back up? It's like, no, he's like, we start running to the east to greet the rising sun. I was waiting for my GPS watch to go, and I realized like, this guy who's like a top-ranked ultramarathoner doesn't even have a watch on. And so I take off after him, and I realize as he's running and as he's breathing, he's got a different look in his eyes. And I realized afterwards what that look was, that he understood that this particular run could be transformative. Not like the heavens would open up and like all the angels would come down, but like if you go into a morning meditation thinking that it's a good thing, and that if you achieve a small sense or small moment of silence, your day is going to be better. You open yourself up to having that small moment of silence. If in a morning contemplative practice, like you're literally just like thinking about breakfast, you know that nothing's going to happen and that it's not going to be a transformative experience. So it's like he started this run with a loose and soft mind. And it was evident in the way he was moving. He wasn't worried about time. He wasn't worried about distance. He was just worried about his breath. And he later told me there are 3 reasons why Navajo run. Number 1, running is a celebration of life. It's kind of easy to feel when you're running in a canyon. Maybe not so easy when you're running on a street, but point taken. Number 2, running is a teacher. Like you said, like if you have a hard time, if you're going through a really difficult patch, we all know that if you've got the inspiration to go for a walk or go for a run, the problem doesn't necessarily get solved, but it becomes less intense. There's no reason to analyze why, but it just does. Go for a long walk, go for a long run. You're going to feel better about what's going on in your life. But number 3, he said running is a prayer. When you run, your feet are praying to Mother Earth. You're breathing in Father Sky. You're not only asking them for their blessings, you're showing them that you're willing to work for those blessings. And that's running as aspiration. That's running as a cry, saying that I'm an insignificant human being, and I understand that there's greater forces around me that can feed me in my journey to achieve something beyond me, something deeper, something more significant than what I can conjure on my own. And I saw that with Sean when he ran. And when he finished, it wasn't like he was stopping his GPS watch, looking through his stats, unplugging his iPod or iPhone. He had a sense of calm that I never really achieved in running. And it wasn't like he started with that calm, but I could see that he achieved something through that run, and I was step for step with him. I didn't have a phone. My GPS watch wasn't working. But after the run, I realized he got more out of that than I did. Like, why? We ran the same pathway. It was maybe even more exotic for me because it was the first time running in this sacred canyon. I should be feeling better than him. I should just be totally blown away. Like, what did I not do? And then afterwards, when he was explaining to me the Navajo philosophy of running, I realized it was simple. I didn't recognize that this run could change my perception of myself. I just didn't know. Like, no harm, no foul, but I just didn't know. And now I know that if I want running to make me a better person and not just a faster person, it can do that because it always has.
I just find that so inspiring, the way you just describe what they get out of running. In fact, in many ways, calling what they do running and what we, the collective sort of we in the West, do as running, almost feels as though there should be a different term, because yes, you're moving your feet and your legs quicker than walking on the earth, but it feels like a completely different experience, to the point where we probably need a different word for it.
By changing one's mindset, I think one can get a lot more out of running. Instead of looking at running for performance, running for miles, running for body shape, running for burning calories, looking at running as a pathway to transformation. I mean, running will get you any of those previous examples that I mentioned. It's like, if you want to lose weight, running will do that for you. If you want to look better and feel better, running will do that for you. But if you want to get closer to God, running will do that for you. The question is, like, how many of us look at running as that kind of tool, as a way to get into our innermost self, and performance as a way to achieve self-transcendence, the idea of going beyond your personal limitations. So if you happen to win a race, great. But if you happen to become a better person, to learn about yourself, even better. And so the prescription for running as an act of transformation requires being soft between your ears, learning how to connect with your heartbeat, learning how to connect with your spiritual heart, and letting those energies drive your run rather than your GPS watch, rather than thinking about what you're going to eat or what you're going to do afterwards, rather than even listening to music and having some external source pump you up for 3-4 minutes at a time. If you strip away what's between your ears, you end up having a naturally beautiful experience, because running or walking or moving with our feet, when done with the right intention, is one of the most natural things out there.
Yeah, so powerful. It has such potential to be transformative if we reframe the narrative around running, around walking. I always like to leave the listener with some tips right at the end, something that hopefully is going to inspire them, and something that they can start putting into practice into their own life immediately to improve the way that they feel. And so I wonder if you could share some of your top tips. And also, I'd love you to have in mind, when you're doing this, that person who might be listening to this podcast who thinks, I would love to get more active, but I don't do anything. I find it a struggle to get off the sofa. I love hearing these stories. It's inspiring, but I don't know how to take that first step.
The most beautiful song that we can have vibrating through our body is kind of a conscious awareness of our breath. So whether you're walking, whether you're running, whether you're swimming or cycling, unplug from distractions and focus on your breath. You'll see that the breath itself can bring you energy, both a peaceful energy, both a dynamic energy. Try to imagine when you're breathing that you are not just breathing in air, but you're breathing in peace. And that peace is filling your being. And you can do this in moments of exertion. You can do this in moments of stress. It's like that conscious connection from our breath to our body to our psychic consciousness, can give you a deeper sense of calm and a deeper sense of power. If it comes to trying to motivate yourself to get out the door, literally start small. Like, don't have a prescribed goal in mind. And that's the idea of running soft, moving soft. If you have a struggle getting out the door, it's like, walk down the block, do one lap of your block, once or twice a day for 5 days. And you'll build on that, not based on your own desire for doing more distance, but your desire to have a deeper and more freeing experience. I think that's where it always starts. It's not so much hammering through suffering to get to a certain amount of miles or a certain number of hours each week, but it's like you increase your capacity based on how much you're enjoying an activity. So if you can focus on the enjoyment first, and rather than the destination or the goal of walking or running 5K or 10K or 20 minutes or 50 minutes, that's the best start ever. And so it's breathing and it's intention. Understand that anything you do in life can make you a tremendously better person if you want it to be that way. and if you put the time into it. We'll close with, exertion is immaterial if you can't find joy through it. Finding joy through exertion is a secret in human life. It's a secret both in the physical life and in the spiritual life. Finding joy in those very, very difficult moments takes practice, but it's not something that's unachievable. People have achieved it and have enjoyed it for hundreds of thousands of years, and I think we all can share in that experience.
Really hope you enjoyed that conversation. Please do think about one thing that you can take and apply into your life. Inspiration is not enough, you need to take action. If you did enjoy that, please do press subscribe, hit that notification bell, and why not check out this conversation that I picked out that acts as the perfect follow-up.